Good afternoon to one and all. It gives me great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of YVU, that is Yoga University, for a 5-day national workshop on National Education Policy 2020, a roadmap for future of India. The importance of education was quoted by Mahatma Gandhi as, by education, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in body, mind and spirit. K. Kasturi Rangan, ex-chairman of ISRO, who is behind the drafting of NEP, said that transforming and creating a dynamic education system is fundamental for the progress of any country. India is no different, and that the idea is to open our minds to excellence. We can call it as a transformative restructuring of NEP, which is designed to ease the burden of classroom teaching and examinations on students, will play an important role in creating the future of the country. Its success, however, lies in uniform and transparent implementation at all levels with an equitable distribution of resources. To discuss, to debate, and to deliberate about important key issues of NEP 2020, now we are proceeding to inaugural session by inviting our university authorities. Now I welcome President of today's function, Professor K. Krishna Reddy, Principal, Yoga Vemana University College, Professor M. Surya Kalavati Madam, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Chief Guest of today's function. Guest of honor for today's session, Professor D. Vijayaraghav Prasad Garu, Registrar, Yoga Vemana University, and Professor S. Raghunath Reddy Garu, Vice Principal, Yoga Vemana University College, and my learned colleagues. The stalwarts of our webinar, Professor S. Sendinathan, Bharatidasan University, Tiruchirappalli, Professor G. Vishwanadappa, NCRT, Mysore, Dr. N. Amareshwaran Reddy, Nehu, Shillong, Professor M.T.V. Nagaraju, IGNTU, Annupur, Madhya Pradesh, Professor B. Jairam Reddy Garu, RJKTU, Ongole, AP, from education across the country are readily accepted to provide inputs on various areas of NEP 2020, who kindly agreed to be the torch bearers to enlighten us on the selected theme. And my dear participants from the nook and corner of the country, I welcome every one of you to this colorful academic event. Now I request Professor Krishna Reddy Garu, President of today's inaugural session, to conduct the inaugural proceedings.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunita Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Applied Mathematics, and the other conveners, Dr. P. Sarita Garu, Assistant Professor in MBA Department, Dr. K. Lalita Garu, Assistant Professor in Psychology, co-conveners, Dr. K. Lazar, Coordinator of Psychology Department, Dr. K. Subbareddy, Coordinator of Business Management, Dr. V. Vasanthi, Head Department of Applied Mathematics. So, under their leadership, a 5-day national virtual workshop is planned. The workshop title is National Education Policy 2020, a roadmap for future of India. So we have, for the 5 days, 5 eminent scholars are going to debate, deliver, and give the impetus to the participants to have first-hand information. So I profusely thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor in absentia, Professor Munagala Surya Kalavati, and our respected Registrar, Professor Vijayaraghav Prasad Garu, and my colleague, Professor Raghunath Reddy Garu, Vice Principal of Yoga Vemana University College, and my technical team persons and the cameraman. So very good afternoon to the participants. So indeed, this is the one of the historic event in the Yoga Vemana University College. because new education policy is to be one of the resource source for the next generation kids to. Okay, I'm sorry. There is a one thing I missed out due to my aging effect and also my age effect. So I will make into a different one. We have an invocation song. So we will go to the invocation song first. Then I will come to the presidential remarks.
Madam President, remarks upon.
Yeah, go.
మన విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నీకు వందనం హృదయాది సుందరం మన నీకు వందనం విశ్వకవి పండిత నీకు వందనం విశ్వాసాలు అడగదు కూడగలు దోషములు మాకు మూర్తుతో నేర్పి నాట్యమాడికి పదిలందగుండె కొలువు తీరిన భూమి విశ్వవిఖ్యాత కవి నీకు వందనం మన నీకు సంతనం విశ్వవిఖ్యాత కవి నీకు వందనం క్రమశిక్షణతో మాకు చదువులెంతో నేర్పి కర్తవ్య దీక్షలు మాలోన అందరికి దివ్య ఫలితాలు అందించు నడిపించి భారత శిఖర కిరటమై వెలగమని లక్ష్య పదములు విజయాలు పూర్తి మనసున జీవితంతో చదువుకురి పిల్పేనియలు మాను దక్కులికి సుమా తల్లి
ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు నేను పార్టిసిపెంట్స్? 30. So thank you very much for the participants, and I believe resource person Professor S. Senthilnathan, Bharatidasan University, Tiruchirappalli is also there. Sir, welcome you, sir. And we are very much thankful and fortunate to be with us for today to give the inputs for national education policy. So as a president, so I want to say a few words about the new educational policy. As we know, India had the traditional education when Chanakya was there. So we used to have a system was developed on those days. It's an ancient system. It was so effective. On those days onwards, our education in Vedas, in other arts, martial arts was so effective on those days. After the human society, the humanospheric activity was enlarged, expanded, and globalization came into the picture late 1980s. So it is warranted us to learn not only the subjects, the prescribed subjects in syllabi, but you have to understand the skills and also have some training on the other subjects. Then only you will be saleable product in the global arena. So that made the present governments to have the new education policy. So the new education policy is going to help the next generation kids to mold into the global activity. So firstly, earlier we don't have the gap year. Now a boy or girl can have a gap year. So you can study for some time and they can go for a job or they can do something else and they can come and join on any year, any academic year. So that was the one of the wonderful activity. And we know earlier we had the undergraduation of the India is not equivalent to the some of the countries on the globe, elsewhere on the globe. So now what we made is we have now the UG course also for 4 years. And there are two courses in UG. One is with 3 years and one is with 4 years. The 4 years course, we have the compulsory industrial training, professional training, IT training. These are the more good for the students to come in the next years. And also in the academic curriculum, they used to learn only the subjects. Now they made it at least one subject as the external subject through MOOCs, NPTEL or something. So in the CBCS syllabus, they made it to have this kind of facility to them. It can be either credited or non-credited. With full 4 credits you can take or you can take 2 credits which are not countable in the final CGPA. And main purpose of this national education policy is to impart the knowledge to the grassroots level. So how to take this into grassroots level is one of the themes of the NEP 2020. And foremost, not only from the university systems and also the private university and industry, these 3 entities they made into work together, hand-to-hand work together, so that there will be lot of benefit to the student. Because not only the government of Andhra Pradesh or government of India is giving the some of the scholarships, meritorious scholarships. Apart from these, to have the basic research, have the fundamental research. So this can be carried out through this private industry and the institutional partnership. And some of the arts, fine arts, and they are all getting diminishing from the system. So for example, we have the Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam. Here we have the Surabhi. So these are all is now ornamental. They should be come into picture. So that's why the new education policy states that we should have them with an academy, private academy, and the institution, so that these arts can be sustained for longer period. So there are several other inputs were given and inputs were given. Now they are contemplating, because being in a new education policy, there is a framework was given, and so we have the 5 experts in 5 domains. So they will going to enlighten more and more. So really, I feel that the theme chosen by our team of young teachers from our university is really appreciable to them. So I sincerely thank them for making this 5-day national virtual workshop on National Education Policy 2020 and a roadmap for future India. Thank you very much for them, and I am indebted to three of them for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. So as a president, now I request our respected registrar, Professor Lalita Unara, sorry. So now I request one of my colleague, Dr. K. Lalita Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology. అర్థం కాదు నేను స్కిప్ చేసి
దగ్గర బాగా అనిపిస్తాయి
to introduce the workshop theme and the aim of it. Dr. Lalita Garu.
Good afternoon to one and all. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Pleasure. On behalf of the organizing committee, I am happy to say a few words about the concept of the webinar. As we are all know, the National Education Policy 2020 outlines the vision of India's new education system. The new policy replaces the previous National Policy on Education 1986. The policy is a comprehensive framework for elementary education to higher education as well as vocational training both in rural and urban India. The policy aims to transform India's education system by 2021. The National Education Policy 2020 is a milestone document in the context of national building, which is expected to overhaul the entire academic system in the country from pre-primary to tertiary level. The NEP thus replaces the National Policy on Education 1986, which was modified once in 1992. Before that, the first education policy was passed in 1968. NEP 2020 is the first new education policy to be introduced in India in the 21st century. Under the chairmanship of Dr. Kasturi Rangan, former chief of the Indian Space Research Organization. So the policy document says that it aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society. The National Education Policy 2020 is meant to provide an overarching vision and comprehensive framework for both school and higher education across the country. AP government already announced the implementation of the policy from this academic year. In this context, the workshop is planned to chalk out long-term, medium-term, and short-term action plans for the effective and timely implementation of various dimensions of the National Education Policy 2020. The policy has created a large canvas with futuristic vision. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Now I request our today's guest of honor, Professor Vijay Raghu Prasad sir, to say few words on this occasion.
Thank you, madam. A very warm good afternoon to all the participants and the organizers, group of organizers, I would say, and also the participants as well as the speaker. Sir, good afternoon to you. Today, as mentioned by our principal here, this is a very seminal topic that the organizers have chosen, a 5-day national virtual workshop on National Education Policy 2020. Because some people still feel it is like a Brahma Padartham, because you don't know what is inside, because it's too large to understand and too mystic to get into, and because please come in. I just started.
Please go ahead.
So it needs to be deliberated at various levels and quite extensively to perhaps understand what is there in for the NEP for us to offer to the students and also for teachers, how, because we are the people perhaps to deliver the goods at the end of the day. So it needs to be understood both by the students because they are also part of this program, for them to actually capitalize on the provisions that the NEP has providing them. So it is very important for the student community to come forward and understand this. However, this needs to be, as I said, that should be discussed at various levels, including that they will. And very interestingly, or perhaps for reasons which we do not understand, it took 35 years for the Indian government to make this new education policy. And in the gap of 35 years, there is a huge change in the society, societal requirements, the students, the way they look forward for making this career, societal changes, globalization, computerization, you ask for it. There is a plethora of changes. So I think this is where I think the NEP needs to be understood at every level by all the people. It is not that we sit together and understand. The student community needs to understand for them to come forward and know what is their provisions. So, however, because the speaker would perhaps, there are 5 speakers, I think today one speaker I know. So as the workshop goes on, I think we'll all be enlightened with more and more information. So the very wonderful aspect, what I liked about this NEP 2020 is that it is a student-centric program that they have designed. So it will make the students, their skill set is improved, their flexibility of attaining the courses is also introduced. So this is where I think the students, as I said, should be made party into these programs and they should understand this. Finally, I congratulate the conveners, Dr. K. Lalita, Dr. Sarita, Dr. S. Sunita, as well as the co-conveners, Dr. Lazar and Dr. S.V. Subbareddy Garu, and Professor T. Vasanthi from the Department of Psychology.
Department of Mathematics.
Department of Psychology.
No.
Mathematics, Business Management, Applied Mathematics, respectively. Taking up the initiative, and I do hope that all participants will enjoy this academic flavor at the end of the workshop. I once again sincerely thank the group of organizers, like group of companies. 890 people, that is a very staggering number. I think we need to again congratulate, a big clap for the organizer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Prasad, for enlightening the theme of the today's virtual workshop, NEP 2020. Really, as you said, this is the good opportunity for the students and also the students to revisit to the academic format. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Prasad. And now I request the guest of honor, Professor S. Raghunatha Reddy Garu, my colleague, Vice Principal of Yogi Vemana University College, to address the virtual workshop on NEP 2020. Sir.
So, President of today's workshop, Professor K. Krishna Reddy Garu, Chief Guest in options here, Professor Kurugala Surikalavati Garu, Guest of Honor, Professor D. Vijayarao Garu, and team of the organizers, Dr. K. Lalita, Rita, and Sunita, and co-conveners, Dr. Lazar, Dr. S. Subbareddy, and the resource person, Professor S. Senthilnathan, and other participants, media. Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I congratulate the team of the organizers for selecting this National Education Policy 2020, the roadmap for future of India. Even though the university has conducted a number of webinars on this national education policy, still there is a dire need of conducting many such type of webinars. So because as our research said, it is a Brahma Padartham. Even though there are a number of discussions, so enlightenments have been taking place, still there is a need for this type of seminars and webinars. Hence, so I congratulate these people once again for selecting and choosing this 2020 as a webinar. So some of the important points that I come across in this national education policy. So the new education policy will give importance to students' practical knowledge instead of just pushing them towards the route of learning. It will help students to develop scientific temper from a young age. So the NEP aims to make it easier to set up new quality of higher education institutions, so which will be a part of with the global standards. So since NEP will make it easier for foreign colleges to set up their campuses in this country, many students who are unable to go abroad due to multiple reasons, so will be able to experience it and get global exposure. So at the same time, so this NEP will promote value-based education. So in this connection, I believe that so arranging this workshop is very important, as it's a policy empowering children and youth with an aim of make India a global knowledge superpower. So I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. All the best.
Sir, thank you very much, Professor Raghunath Reddy Garu. As you pointed out, the national education policy is going to throw light for the student beneficial and also for the societal beneficial also. So thank you, sir. Definitely, as per your wish and your forecast and future thinking, definitely there may be betterment in the education as well as the research and the social outreach programs. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And now I request my another colleague, Dr. P. Sarita Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Management, to give brief introduction of the today's resource person, Professor S. Senthilnathan, Bharatidas University, Tiruchirappalli. Madam, please.
Thank you, sir. Very good evening to one and all. Respected Vice Chancellor Madam in absentia Munagal Surekalavati Madam Garu, respected Registrar Professor D. Vijayarao Prasad sir, respected Professor K. Krishna Reddy sir, Principal of Yogavemna University College, and distinguished Vice Principal Raghunath Reddy sir, and my dear faculty members and other faculty members and esteemed professor participants from Yogavemna University and other colleges, research scholars, students, print and electronic media. Very good evening to one and all. It is my privilege to present a brief profile of today's resource person, Professor S. Senthilnathan sir. Sir is acting as a director in charge, UGC HRDC, and Professor, Department of Educational Technology, Bharatidasan University, Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu. His areas of interest and specialization is educational technology, ICT in education, e-learning, educational multimedia, e-content development, English language teaching. And Sir has different achievements. Sir is contributed as a member of working group to the successful completion of UNESCO assignment on learning to learn English with ICT. He served as a consultant to Commonwealth of Learning, Canada, in open and distance learning materials development in Bangladesh. Sir has served as a member, Board of Management, Educational Multimedia Resource Center, Madurai Kamaraj University. He is also served as a member, state level subcommittee on teacher education for reviewing and
National Curriculum Framework since 2005. He is also serving as a member in the expert committees of Bhartiyar and Bhartidasan, Anna University, Madurai Kamaraj University, and other universities in Tamil Nadu. Sir is an expert member in Academic Council of MHRD's National Resource Center, Department of Education, Central University of Kerala. He is also serving as an external member in the Advisory Committee of School of Education under the Pandit Madan Mohan Malavya National Mission of Teachers and Teaching of the Ministry of HRD, Government of India. He has organized and facilitated a number of capacity development programs on e-content development to higher education teachers and coordinated the production of hundreds of e-modules on a variety of topics. He has organized and facilitated a number of faculty development programs on web applications for facilitating learning to higher education teachers involving hands-on training in using web and Google Cloud applications for education. He delivered invited lectures in faculty development programs, orientation programs, and RCs to the teachers of higher education throughout the southern states of India. Sir has guided 6 PhDs and 32 MPhils in his career. Sir is a member in different academic and administrative aspects. Sir has conducted one major research project with a worth of 10 lakhs and he has participated in 2 UGC projects as a deputy coordinator. Sir also serving as a different administrative and authority roles in Bhartidasan University. It is very happy and grateful to you, sir, for having such a great professor on this occasion. Now I request Professor S. Senthilnathan, sir, to speak on this occasion, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarita. Can you hear me? Is my audio clear?
Yes, sir.
That's fine. Right. So thank you very much, Dr. Sarita, for your warm words of introduction. Most esteemed Vice Chancellor, Madam in absentia, esteemed Registrar, distinguished Principal, respected Vice Principal, and all the learned members of the organizing team at Yogi Vemana University, Kadapa. Very pleasant afternoon to all of you. I deem it a pleasure as well as privilege to associate myself with a university named after a great poet and philosopher, Yogi Vemana, on this occasion of the program on national education policy viewed as a roadmap for future of India. So, in fact, when Madam contacted me to speak on this national education policy, I was just inquiring and I was in touch with Dr. Vishwanadappa and other speakers as to what is going to be their focus as well. So in consultation with all, I have chosen to speak focusing on specifically on technology pedagogy integration, which is one of the identified priority areas of NEP, especially in the context of its implementation in the next couple of years to come. So with this, let me move to my presentation, and in the next 1 hour or so, we will dwell upon the what, why, and how of technology pedagogy integration into the implementation strategies of National Education Policy 2020. Can Dr. Sarita Madam tell me whether my screen is shared properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's fine. Right. Thank you. Actually, so, when we talk about technology pedagogy integration, no doubt it comes into question at the implementation stage, because directly technologies are going to be integrated into the teaching, learning, and evaluation processes at the school, collegiate, and professional education levels. So that is why I chose, because the word implementing, right? National education policy, if you have earlier gone through the approach paper, the concept note and other things, they had something to do the policy framework, right, with regard to the integration of technologies. But when we talk about technology, the focus shifts to implementation of FP. There are a couple of things I just would like to quickly run through. This being the first talk, right? Okay. The NEP 2020 is the first educational policy of the 21st century. We all know that. Now, why I am mentioning that specifically here is because, this 21st century education is something that is viewed as very great and phenomenally different from the educational systems and paradigms of the previous centuries. And, like 21st century business practices, 21st century banking practices, 21st century media practices, we also have started elaborately talking about 21st century models of education. And this being the first educational policy of the 21st century, no doubt has so much to speak about, right? Converting our educational systems into 21st century models. That the true spirit of this national education policy is on its focus on truly converting our education systems into 21st century models. That means catering to the academic, professional needs of the 21st century learners, right? Working around 21st century models of curriculum and 21st century strategies and techniques, approaches to teaching, learning, and evaluation, and more so, right, preparing these boys and girls for 21st century life and 21st century professions. Okay, so that is more important, right? This is what is being truly 21st century model. Okay, so are we preparing our boys and girls for 21st century life? Though we are two decades into 21st century now, this is 2021. 2 decades of the 21st century is gone. But are we really preparing our boys and girls for a 21st century work environment? That is why we say it has very long-ranging implications in all dimensions. Let it be curriculum, let it be job opportunities, let it be the classroom practices, let it be evaluation practices, teaching, learning, technology integration, whatnot. And if you take into consideration all levels of education, pre-primary, primary, school, higher secondary, higher secondary, collegiate, within the collegiate level, general higher education, then professional higher education like medical, engineering, right? Everywhere, right? Okay? That is very important. And actually, this is something that you might have gone through, because as a person interested in the NEP, you might have already read the approach paper, this and that, right? But I'm just quickly recalling to provide a necessary link to the technology pedagogy integration. So as we all know, the foundational pillars of the NEP is this access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. In fact, the first three, access, equity, and quality, have been the national problems of education systems, not from now, but for the past 6-7 decades. Right? The University Education Commission 1948 also observed the same thing. The Indian education system is facing these primary problems: access, equity, and quality. Okay? And NEP 2020 also addresses that this policy is all set to, right, solve these problems of access, equity, and quality. In a vast country like India, right, with high imbalances in socio, political, economic, cultural lives, right? This access, equity, and quality shall continue to be perennial problems, right? Because providing access to every learner, right, is a huge problem, right? Because the country is so big, our education system is so big, right? So providing access to learning to everyone, right, is a big trouble, no doubt, right? Okay, because at the speed at which the population is growing, it is not possible to build schools, colleges, and universities. right? Okay. So that is why our GER remains somewhere with 25, 26, right? That range with higher education, right? Okay. Then equity, right? When we talk about equity, right? The equality of educational opportunities. You see, can we provide the same learning opportunities which we provide to IIT students to any other student sitting in any remote college, right? You know, in a coastal town or in a very hilly region, right? You know, geographical imbalances are there. Okay, so providing the same learning opportunity, right, in a face-to-face mode of education is no doubt a big issue, right? Okay. Then, you know, quality. Though we have all accreditation, assessment boards, quality assurance mechanisms, this and that, the quality of teaching, facilitation of learning, evaluation, institutional practices, curricular practices, it varies widely, right? No doubt. You know, why there are sometimes 150 applications per one vacant seat in some institutions. And in some institutions, we have for 5 seats only 2 applications coming. Right? Okay? So no doubt, the quality is another vital factor. But we are making all efforts, no doubt, to provide a same quality learning opportunities. We will see how technology can help in that. Okay. Then the next two things added to this NEP as foundational pillars is affordability. Okay. You see, the question of again the cost, the educational cost, right? Again, a developing country like India, right, with a considerable population living below the poverty line, the affordable quality education at affordable cost, right, is something that is again a matter of concern. And most importantly, accountability on the part of students, accountability on the part of the parents, accountability on the part of the teachers, administrators, policymakers, right? The agencies of education, let it be UGC or AICT or the Indian Medical Association, whatever is the case, the accountability on all aspects of this education. Right? Okay? And as we already know, we have read a little bit about that, right? The distilled essence of the national education policy is this particular focal point, that is providing student-centric education or learner-centered education systems. An education system which is aligned to the needs, priorities, and styles of the students of learning. Right? Now we have been talking about for quite some time. Right? For nearly 2.5 decades, we have been talking about student-centered practices, learner-centeredness in education, all these things. But is it really happening? It's a big thing. Right? It's a big question for that matter. You see, right now, no doubt I'm talking to you on a virtual platform, right? But what I'm going to speak after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you don't know, because this is basically a teacher-centered presentation. Okay, so I have decided to speak something first, something later. Right? Because that's what. Imagine if the whole presentation is available as a video, right, on any video channel like YouTube or something like that. Then you as a participant would be in a position to choose what time from where you should listen to, right? How long you should listen to, all these things, right? But all these things, right, are not with you now. Okay, so that is what is the big difference about being teacher-centered or student-centered. Right? Okay, but anyway, we are going to see a lot of ICT integration and media integration into our educational systems, so that we can provide this type of anytime, anywhere learning opportunities to anybody. This is what is the 3 A's, right? That's what is the ultimate, what to say, product, byproduct, or I would say, right, of this NEP 2020 is that anytime, any learning opportunities to anybody. That is, any student of our country, starting from kindergarten to PG, KG to PG, post-graduation, shall have opportunities for learning anytime, anywhere, at an affordable cost. We will not say at no cost, because at least the data charges you have to pay. For instance, this program you might not have paid in registration fee, right? But the experts say, but at least the data charge, right? The recharge, right? Airtel or Geo connectivity, you should pay for it, right? Okay. So that is something that is a part of it. And these are some of the baseline things about NEP. So it consists of 4 sections, and section 1 is all about school education, revamping, revising, improving, right, the school education system. And of course, there is a lot of talk about bridging the gap between school education and higher education as well. And section 2 is all focused to higher education. So higher education here includes the general arts and science, higher education, technical education, medical, legal, paramedical, right? Even paralegal, right? All these things, right? Okay. And then section 3 is about other key areas of focus. So that is where the other dimensions of the education system, which are intervening, right? Which have deeper implications to the implementation of NEP are going focused on other key areas of focus. And section 4 is all about the strategies, approaches, or I will say approaches, methods, strategies, and techniques. Okay? Approach is a larger phenomenon. Approach, method, techniques, and strategies for implementing this thing. We have a big vision. And how do we put this entire vision into practice? So that long-term goal of providing high quality learning opportunities to anybody, any student, any learner here, right? There is a difference between the word learner and student. Student has to be a particular boy or a girl registered for a program or a course, right? But a learner can be anybody. He might be an engineer, he might be an accomplished chartered accountant, but still he may be interested in learning about GST, right? A surgeon, right, or a microbiologist, right? He might be a well-known microbiologist, but still may be interested in learning something about some recent changes in genetic engineering, right? Okay. So that is what's the difference between learner and a student, right? Okay. So I shall focus more on the section 3 of subsection 23 of section 3, right? Subsection 23 is all about technology use and integration. You see here, I want you to think about these two words. One is use and the other one is integration. Okay. You see, no doubt, right now we are using some technology. Your university's Cisco WebEx platform is one technology, and internet, right, and multiple other technologies are being used, right? And the another aspect of technology here broadly stands for information and communication technologies. I would choose to use a plural word here, technologies, because there are several layers of technologies, right, available, starting from audio technology, radio, right, video, television, multimedia, computers, right, uh, uh, internet, web, mobile, right, satellite communication, right, simulation, animation technology, all these technologies. Okay, so basically the information and communication technologies, right, using of these things, and more so in the days to come, what is required is a kind of a ICT integrated learning. ICT integrated learning. Integration is quite different. In a classroom, you can have a computer and you can have a projector, and a teacher may come, just insert his pen drive or her pen drive, and transfer a PPT file, okay, and project it on the screen and give a lecture. This is using technology. We will not say that use of a PowerPoint slides in a classroom is integrated technology human into learning, right? Integration is much more than using, right? Making the students do activities with technologies, okay, and making their learning deeply immersed in the different digital medias and media tools, and web technologies, tools, mobile apps, and other things, right? Okay, so that is how technology integration happens. Just the use of certain gadgets for for instance, sending a mail, right? Now you send some lecture notes to 25 of your students through your email account. You're using no doubt web technologies, but that doesn't mean that you are integrating web tools into your teaching, learning, and evaluation, right? Okay. So that is something that I want to focus on. So we all know that we are all living in a digital India, And thanks to the fact that under DII, Digital India Initiatives, we have digital learning as a priority area, as an identified priority area of DII, Digital India Initiatives. Thanks to that, we have got so much of funds allotted to digital education systems. You see, please understand, whether it is a new education policy or old education policy, implementation with all technology integration requires a lot of money, a lot of resources, right, and a lot of planning. Okay? So because of the fact that it is one of the priority areas under DII, right, we have quite a lot of money, right, getting pumped into the digital education system. Right? You may not believe if I give you some statistics, like today, our digital education systems are somewhere with 60 to 65,000 crores of money, right? That is the worth of it in our country. So much of money, the government money, the public money has been spent, right, on designing and having in place a digital education system. Okay, and this technology use and integration component talks about the bidirectional relationship. As much as education helps in the growth of technologies, right, and technology contributes to the development of education. So that's why it is a kind of symbiotic relationship, right, that exists between education and technology. And I'm very happy that to represent the Department of Educational Technology, Bharatidasan University, right, like the poet Bharatidasan was a great poet, right? Reform, right? And our Department of Educational Technology has a distinction of being the first Department of Educational Technology in our country, and we have been doing some pioneering work for the past 3.5 decades and more. But this NEP, right, seems to have a lot of focus on technology, and especially educational technology, right? Okay? And the focus, right, there is a lot of discussion about what students learn versus how students learn. No doubt, all these years, of course, not finding fault with any earlier practices. Please understand that, right? Our education systems, we have been evolving from stage to stage. So all these years, our focus was on telling our students what they must learn. You have to become a lawyer, you have to become an engineer, and our country is in need of this type of trained people, right? So this is if you learn these things, you will be in a position to get into a job, and you will be in a position to make money, and this particular industry is going to grow, and there will be a lot of opportunities like that. But now we have come to a stage where we have to equally focus on how students learn also. Okay, and what type of learning happens, right? What type of pedagogies are put into practice here, whether constructivist or positivist, or what type of knowledge generation, right, and what type of technologies are integrated, right? In fact, the other when, where also is there. When they learn, then unlike the past, right, where it was 9 to 3 or 9 to 4:30, now any student can learn from home anytime, right? At 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the night, the student can log into any portal, whether it is governmental or non-governmental, open source or anything for that matter, and they can listen to a lecture. So there is no necessity that 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock or 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the universities, right? So other questions like when and where also, where learning should happen, right? Okay. In earlier days, education was restricted to some geographical boundaries, right? Some institutional boundaries, right? Okay. So if you are simply roaming around your village, right, by 10:30, 11 o'clock, some elderly person will catch you and ask you, hey, why you didn't go to college today? Right? What do you think a young person can do simply roaming around this village? You should go to college to sit and learn there, right? But today, anybody can be roaming around any place, right, with their headphones on, with their mobile phones on, and still they can be learning, right? They can be roaming around any place, but still there can be parallelly listening to some lectures, right? Okay, so it is possible. And then the new technologies that are focused on in this policy is artificial intelligence, machine learning, handheld computing devices, right? Handheld computing devices, adaptive tools. Okay, artificial intelligence. There is a lot of research going on. I request you to see something like AI for all. Okay, there is hashtag called AI for all. Okay, there is a lot of work being carried out And we expect that there are 4 technologies: artificial intelligence, machine learning, okay, augmented reality, virtual reality, and of course, one more thing, IoT, Internet of Things. These 5 are going to make a lot of difference in people's lives in the next 50 years. Okay. It is not that they are going to make changes in the industries, in the corporate world. They are going to make changes in people's lives. Okay. And no doubt education is not an exception. Artificial intelligence is going to have a heavy impact on education systems, right? And simulation platforms, right? All these animation, this type of learning is going to be a big thing, right? And learning analytics, machine learning, right? Adaptive e-learning through virtual reality and augmented reality, right? Adaptive e-learning. The next generation e-learning is adaptive. That means the e-learning portal or the e-learning system itself will adapt and provide lessons, provide explanation, examples, provide exercises tuned to the individual differences of students. Okay. For instance, if Dr. Sarita, Dr. Sunita, right, and 2 of her colleagues, all the 4 of them are in the same class, in an adaptive e-learning environment, each one of them will not get the same content. All the 4 will not get the same content. Each one will get a different explanation, different example, and a different exercise. And this difference will be based on their individual differences. Because, the way in which Dr. Sunita learns is quite different from the way in which Dr. Sarita learns. Because each one is a different individual, uniquely different from one another, each other. Right? So that is the way adaptive e-learning portals are going to be there. Right? And there is so much of educational software. And of course, no doubt, software alone cannot help. And you cannot run a very advanced software on a low profile hardware systems, right? So equally, you have to parallelly focus on building your hardware mechanism, your ICT infrastructure in institutions, right? And no doubt the government is going to spend huge sums of money on creating ICT infrastructure necessary for promoting this type of ICT based education, web based education, mobile app based education, right? And virtual learning and online platforms, right? Okay. And then NEP 2020 envisages, right, creation of a National Educational Alliance for Technology. NEAT, NEET, not that NEET, NEET, right? This is NEAT, National Education Alliance for Technology. So there will be an exclusive body, right? Like your AICTE or NCTE for teacher education. There will be a National Education Alliance for Technology, which will be a kind of a body which will evolve policies, implementation strategies, and many other things related to technology mediated education in our country, starting from kindergarten to post graduation. So it will not be working under AICT or UGC or medical association or any particular council. It will be an independent body, but it will have its own contributions to institutions coming under the boundaries of all these agencies. And these agencies themselves, we know very well. There is going to be the Higher Education Council of India, which is going to be an overarching body, right? Above all these UGC, AICTE, and other things, we know that. Okay? And there is going to be a lot of focus on development of education software. And teachers are going to be given huge funds, okay, for developing and validating educational software specific to their subjects and their specializations, right? Because an educational software for training some students in their pronunciation skills, we cannot use the same software for training mathematical skills of students. Mathematics teachers have to develop their own software for equipping the boys with some mathematical skills. And language teachers have to promote, develop and validate software for their language, right? Similar chemistry teachers have to work for promoting certain software to teach, to make the students learn chemistry better, right? And then more importantly, the creation of e-contents, all these e-learning initiatives, right? Let it be satellite based, or let it be web based, or let it be mobile based, or whatever is the case, the success of it is directly proportional to the e-contents, right? Especially multimedia embedded video contents, right, for the students learning. Because what students are engaged in today is what we call as visual learning, okay? And to promote that type of visual learning, what is required is a lot of e-contents, more focused on multimedia contents, and we are going to have a lot of resources designed for that. Now itself we know very well, right? There is for SWAYAM courses and other things, there is a huge funding being given. Okay. Then we have already seen that infrastructure creation in all institutions for promoting multimedia based learning. Okay. And then this NLP, natural language processing for India's diverse languages. Now, but the problem is that uh, in several states, the students undergo their school education predominantly in their mother tongue. So when they get switched over to their undergraduate level, or when they're put into a higher level of learning, suddenly in an altogether different language, a foreign language like English, right? Naturally, they experience some difficulties. So what we are going to have is that we are going to have these contents, these learning materials, these electronic resources, the digital resources for learning, uh, created in English and parallelly converted into other languages also. So language, because of the fact that a boy or a girl does not have a sound English language background, right? He or she will not be deprived of the learning opportunities provided by these resources, these platforms. Okay. Then we know very well the National Research Foundation. That's I'm not going to focus. That's a different part of the game, right? There is going to be a National Research Foundation, right, to promote research in universities, and there will be some focused research on disruptive technologies. Okay? Those technologies which disrupt the process, the ongoing process, the erstwhile or whatever process that have been going on in a particular mode all these years. Okay, why we call them as disruptive technologies? Because they are capable of offsetting, right, the processes that have been going on for some time. For instance, a 24/7 ETV network, right, educational television network, right, it disrupts the whole education system, right? SWAYAM portal, right, is another disruptive technology. For instance, if a couple of students from uh, 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 YVU, right, choose to do courses on SWAYAM portal, they are not going to attend classes in your campus, and they are not going to submit assignments to you. They are not going to take assignment. They are not going to submit test with you. And if a YVU student is registering for a SWAYAM with the IGNO or Jawaharlal Nehru University, so an IVU student becomes a JNU student without making a payment to JNU and without becoming a student of that campus. And all transactions, all submissions, interactions, discussions, test taking, assignment, everything goes on between the YVU student and JNU teacher. And ultimately, exams are conducted, grades are given, and YVU has to accept the grades allotted by the JNU professor and award the degree here, because there is a credit transfers policy. Right? That is why we say these technologies are going to be disruptive. And we know that the flagship initiative of the Ministry of Education, earlier MHRD, right, is the SWAYAM portal, right? Study webs for active learning of young and alert minds, an indigenously developed MOOC platform for Indian students by Indian teachers. A very great initiative, right? And today, SWAYAM is one of the largest MOOC providers, right, of the world, one of the largest providers, right? Okay. And we are going, and NAP says that over the next 15 years or so, SWAYAM will emerge as a virtual university. That means if a boy has to take up an MA in English, 15 or 16 papers, all 15 or 16 English papers of MA English will be available in SWAYAM as open courses, massive open online course. If a student wants to take up an MSc program in chemistry, all the 15 or 16 courses of the MSc chemistry program will be made available as MOOCs, so that first semester to fourth semester, all courses the student takes online and he gets a degree online. So it becomes a virtual university. That is what is a projected picture, right? But by all means, at least 50 to 60% of it we are going to reach, right? No doubt, right? And the most important thing is, right, building the e-competencies of teachers. Another big problem is that, the teacher is the most important link in the whole education systems, whether it is online learning or offline learning, whether it is technology mediated, whether it is web-based or mobile app-based, whether it is learning management system based, based, whatever is the case, it is the teacher who makes the difference. So we need to prepare a class of teachers, right? A breed of teachers, right? With a set of ICT competencies, with a set of techno-pedagogical competencies, with a set of digital literacies and digital skills, right? To make all these things happen, right? All these are big visions, no doubt, right? And a government can install all interactive whiteboards, right? All smart boards in every classroom in every institution of the country. But if a teacher gets into the classroom with no technical know-how, with no idea of how to handle it, right? Ultimately the mission, right? Whatever the objective that the government had in mind or the policy makers had in mind, it is going to miserably fail. Right? Please understand that, right? So that way, the most important part, right, of the implementation stage of NEP, right, with regard to technology mediation, is the teacher with technology, right? That is very, very important, right? Okay. So it is not. Please understand, right? When we talk about teachers in the context of technologies, no doubt, many occasions I have had this question from the forum that what do you think, sir? You think that all technologies are going to replace the teachers, right? Because there is so much of technology going to be integrated, right? So is it going to be teacher versus technology? No, my dear friends, please understand. The talk of teacher versus technology, the comparison like teacher versus technology is gone long back. But today, in the context of a new education policy that is going to be making huge changes in the system for the next 3 decades, not for the next 1 year, 2 year. It is going to have its implications for the next 30 years, right? So the comparison today is not teacher versus technology, but a teacher with the technology versus a teacher without technology. Okay, a teacher who accepts technology into the professional life, right, versus a teacher who rejects technology from the professional life. That is the comparison. And no doubt, in the implementation stages of NEP 2020, right, a teacher with the technology will be slowly replacing those teachers without technology. Okay, a teacher who refuses technology is no doubt going to be replaced by a teacher who accepts technology into the professional world. Why I repeatedly say accepting technology into the professional life is because, some of the reports say that all teachers, starting from school to university system, have accepted different technologies for their personal lives, for their personal communication, for their personal banking, for their personal entertainment, right? You can do a self-analysis for yourself. How much of technologies you are using for your own personal banking, personal communication, personal networking, right? Personal entertainment and communication. And compare it with the professional work. How much of technology is integrated? Forget this COVID-19 period online learning, because that was a compulsion, right? Now that is left with no other option. We went ahead with our online learning. Had there not been a pandemic, of course, it is our sincere wish, right? Okay, right? If the pandemic had not happened, right? Do you think this much of technology integration would have happened in the school and collegiate education system in our country, right? Okay. So it's good that in a way the pandemic has left to the situation of the lockdown, and students and teachers are all sitting at home, and we have something called learning from home, LFH, learning from home, right? An environment where compelled by the situations, right? All of us are into use some technology, right? Okay. That is why the focus is on building some e-competencies, some digital literacies, and some techno-pedagogical skills to the students, to the teachers. Right? In fact, there is no need to give these skills to the students, right? They are already equipped with the skills, right? All technologies, they are skilled, they are competent, right? Okay. So that is the point I would like to make, right? So when we talk about, it's about 3:40. I think I was given the time up to 4:10, if I'm right, right? Yeah, the schedule says, yeah, I can go up to 4:10. Yeah. So when we talk about the technology pedagogy, by now I'm sure you have guessed already what it is all about. But just to give you a fair, general idea of this, techno pedagogy is both an art and science of incorporating a variety of digital technologies. When we say a variety, right, we have today a wide spectrum of technologies available with us, right? So as I already mentioned, starting from audio technology, radio technology to, right, the most advanced artificial intelligence and other technologies, right, right, for at the disposal of the teacher and learner, right? So a wide spectrum of technologies, and putting these technologies to use, right, is for designing of learning experiences. You see, it is the learning experiences that are very, very important. In my view, the learning experiences are very important aspects of the education system. If you go to your NAC assessment criteria, you know that the first and second criteria, the major share of the score, right, the marks, right, the credits are given to criterion 1 and 2. Okay, so the curricular aspects and teaching, learning, and evaluation, right? It's all about providing the learning experiences, right? And that is why NAC is asking you what is unique about your institution, right? How distinctive are your learning practices? Okay, learning experiences are very, very important, and they are capable of distinguishing an institution from the other institutions. But we often talk about school or college admissions and other things, something like this. If somebody is putting a question, where is your son studying, sir? My son is in IIT Madras, sir. Oh, that's fantastic, right? That's the best thing you have done to your son, sir. His future is very safe. So where is your daughter studying? She is in IIM Ahmedabad. Okay, oh, fantastic, sir. Right, IIM Ahmedabad, the best B school in the country, and no doubt she will emerge as the best manager. She would go abroad soon. Next year, she will be in United States of America. Right? Why? Right? No, it is what is it that IIMs, IITs, IISc, ICERs they have, which you and I do not have? Nothing. The same computers, same internet connectivity, same equipment, same infrastructure, same books. What books IITs buy, we also buy in our libraries, right? What books an IIM can buy, we can also buy, right? There are no issues at all. But the learning experiences that are provided on campus to these boys and girls, it is that which makes a big difference. Then that is why we say, no, in IIT, even if he is very poor, no problem, because that IIT experience for 3-4 years will make him a good engineer. No, that is that learn. No, all that I say is that there is nothing that we cannot do about it. We can create a learning experience similar to that of any other what to say, premier institutions, so-called premier institutions, right? Okay? And all these things keeping in two things in mind. One is enriching the learning process, and the other one ensuring learning outcomes. No doubt, we are all in the OBE model, outcome-based education model. So we know very well the learning outcomes are the most important focus here, right? At the same time, right, in the educational systems, right, we cannot be focused only on the outcomes. The learning processes are also equally important, because you cannot have a situation where we are not bothered about how you learn, but what we need is a mark in the paper. That was not going to help. Okay, so when you give a sum in mathematics, right, if the boy or a girl had done a small mistake in the last stage and got the wrong answer, out of 10 marks, at least 6 marks give for the steps. Am I right? Right? Okay. Why? because steps are as important as that of the final answer in solving a problem in mathematics, right? So the learning process also is important, right? Okay, so that is why we say it is techno-pedagogy is both these things. And then I was talking a little about 21st century models of education, right? And 21st century is often interpreted, right, with all these terms, okay? And we call this 21st century as a computer age. We call it as an information age. We call it as a knowledge era. We call it as digital age. I think these words are very self-explanatory. Why is it called a computer age? Because it's all computers everywhere. In one form or the other, computers are there. Right? If you're all sitting with your laptop and you have a smartphone also with you on the table, then you have two computers with you. Please understand, because your laptop is one computer and your mobile phone is another computer today, right? And mobile phones are capable of outperforming a desktop PC, right? Okay, so that is why we say it's all computers everywhere, and this is a world literally flooded with information. That is why we call it as information age, literally flooded with information, 24/7, right? Information is flowing into the world like anything. Okay, so especially during this pandemic time, right? You were all at your home, right? You were all in the lockdown time, sitting at home watching televisions, and how much of information was flowing into the world, into our homes. Of course, information was there, misinformation was there, disinformation was there. All were there, right? No doubt. But still, there was such a huge volume of information coming into our homes, coming into our fingertips. At the touch of a screen or touch of a button, we were getting the most updated information. So that is why we call this as an information age. And so much of information at such high speed, right? High speed of flow in the world, right? Okay? And we call this 21st century as a knowledge era. NEP talks about it, knowledge era education, knowledge age education, how it should be different from industrial age education. There is a mention about it, kindly read. But one thing I want to tell you is that as teachers of the 21st century, I think you and I must get some idea about education in the knowledge era, the dynamics of knowledge change, and how the very basic idea of knowledge has been undergoing revolutionary changes, okay, over the past several centuries, right? How it was viewed in the agriculture era, agrarian age, and how in the industrial age it was viewed, and what is being viewed as knowledge today, and all these things, right? Okay, I request you to kindly read something about it. And we call this 21st century as a digital age or a digital era also. What is so digital about it, right? Okay, there is nothing. It's very simple, right? There may be physics, electronics, computer science people, right? We will simply say that it's digital, also all about binary, the zeros and ones. Okay, am I right? It's all computers function on this binary code, the zeros and ones. If I take my mobile phone and I just swipe it towards green to accept a call, or swipe it towards red to reject a call, it is 1 and 0, right? The same thing applies to all these computing devices, right? And I'm sure, so we call all these technologies as digital technologies because of that. And I'm sure there are people from English departments like me, right? Basically, I'm an MA English person. So we will disagree with that point, that digital is not everything about numbers, everything about this binary code, because the word digital takes its origin from a Greek root. The word digital comes from a Greek word digitus, digitus, which means fingertips. Okay, in Greek language, digitus means fingertips. So any of these technologies, it be keypad or mouse, touch screen or remote, or any of these things, no, which you make use of with your fingertips, they become digital technologies. It is not that the first answer is wrong and the second answer is right, or vice versa. Both answers are right here. And let us just simply understand that when we integrate these digital technologies into human learning, then what we have as digital learning, okay, that is what is a priority area of Digital India initiatives, and that is again a focal area under the section 23 of subsection 23 of section 3, right, which is all about, right, bringing about changes in the education system, right, in terms of technology use, right? Okay, and I would be happy sometime when you go to the web for doing some activity online, you can read a very interesting document. This is a 10-year-old document, right? Report of the project tomorrow, right? Okay. 2011 document, but there is a lot of meaningful discussion about the small e, right? Creating these three E's, the big E's, okay? The enabled, an education system which is enabled, which is engaged, and which is empowered, okay? There is a beautiful discussion, meaningful discussion about it, right? So we would like to have an education system which is enabled by technology. That's why we have called TEL, a concept like TEL, all capital, technology enabled learning. Okay, technology. You know, we call these information and communication technologies as enabling technologies. No, there is an expression, enabling technologies. Why? Because you know what? Sometime earlier we were unable to do, maybe 20 years back, right? If Dr. Sarita wanted to withdraw some 1,000 rupees from her bank account sometime in the evening, 6 o'clock, some 20 years back, she could not do it. She was unable to do it, right? Because even if she had 5 lakh rupee in her account, after 6 o'clock, there was no way that she could withdraw even 1,000 rupees at 6 o'clock in the evening. So she was unable to. But today, right, technologies have enabled her to do that. When anytime, anywhere, she can withdraw money, right? So these technologies have enabled that. So from unable to enabling, that's why we call this as enabling technologies. And engaged. Engagement is a very, very important word, right? In the context of teaching, learning, pedagogical sciences, media, psychology, right? And of course, young teachers, you know, you should not mistake any other engagement. That engagement sooner or later will happen to you. But for elderly people like me, it has already happened. We cannot do anything about it. Okay. So what engagement that I talk about here is keeping the human minds engaged, right? And you know, when we talk about the engagement levels, right? It's a foregone conclusion that technology mediated and media integrated education systems can have higher levels of engagement. So you can have a young boy or a girl sitting in front of the computer for 4 hours at a stretch, non-stop, right? Sometimes with their mobile device, right? They just spend the entire duration of a train journey for 5 hours, 6 hours with their mobile device, right? They are capable of having higher levels of engagement, right? A very small example is your a small comparison you can make between a classroom and a theater, okay? A classroom and a theater. What is the level of engagement with the human mind that happens in a classroom, where you go with very, very relevant content, meaningful content, useful content? And what happens in a cinema hall, a theater, where the film director is not there physically present, the actors, actresses, nobody is there physically present. And all of us know that it is imaginary. All of us know that it is fictitious. All of us know that people have taken money and they're acting. There is nothing really happening. But what is the level of engagement? Okay? Everyone stays glued to the screen. I think when the lights are turned off, all our intelligence, all our research, everything goes off, I think. Right? Because we become one with the screen. Right? So we wipe our tears whenever there is a sad scene without our neighbor's knowledge. So that is the level of engagement that happens with the human mind, the human emotions, right? The audio video combinations, right? The multimedia, the visual cues, right? They are capable of penetrating into a human mind and occupying the human mind very strongly. So the whole concept of digital learning, right? And visual learning, virtual learning, right? Multimedia based learning is the simple idea that why the same technologies which give people better entertainment in the theater, why they cannot give our boys and girls better learning. Okay, that's the thing. And again, I have spoken about empowerment. ICTs, information and communication technologies are taken as tools of empowerment because they are capable of empowering all the people, right, equally, right? Now, whether a boy is coming from an upper middle class society or whether the boy is coming from a poorer society, whether the boy or a girl is coming from a marginalized section of the society, right? A disadvantaged communities, everyone gets the same power of technology. with a Google search, right? Whatever a student will get, a poorest of the poor student coming from the most disadvantaged community, right? The same result anybody else will get, right, from any other community or any other affluent society he or she comes from. So technology creates a very level playing ground where everyone gets the same learning opportunities. Okay, so that is something very big about it, right? Okay, I will be happy if you go through this slide very quickly, because as a presenter, I'm not supposed to read from the slide. Okay, so just quickly go through that, right? Just get the central message. So I'm sure you have got the central idea of this quote. So some words of a person by name Samuel May about an experience they had in somewhere in 1813, right? I know when they all were, I don't know what is this mathematical school, maybe some training class in mathematics, right? So maybe some tutorial class for mathematics, I think. So when they all went to the classroom on fine morning, they were surprised to see a black colored board hanging on the wall, and some white pieces of chalk and some cloths for wiping. Okay, and that was the first time they had a look at a black colored board, and they were all surprised to see that the teacher was going to use it as a tool for his or her teaching. Okay, so that way, this is the way the blackboard came into the system. Okay, this is the way the chalk and talk model of education started. You see, I am not a person to be negative about the use of blackboards, right? Because I myself use blackboards for my MET classes, FL sessions, right? So, and I also don't believe in the fact that, simply replacing the blackboard with a whiteboard or an interactive whiteboard is going to make all the difference. No, I don't believe in that. Okay. But still, all that I want to communicate to you at this juncture through this particular comparison is that this is time for us to think of newer tools in our professional life. Some new tools we have to think of, right? Right? There is no other go. We cannot go ahead with the same old tools, right? And I have a question, right? To think over, for you to think over, right? Sometime back in the evening, maybe by 4:15, we'll wind up. You are going to have a nice tea, some nice coffee, some snacks. Over a cup of coffee and snacks, I want you to reflect upon this question, right? How is it that you and I, right? I am including myself also, right? Okay. How you and I, the teaching community, remains comfortable. You and I remain complacent. You and I remain happy with a tool that was introduced 207 years back into our profession. It was in 1813 this came. Okay. And how is it that we remain happy, comfortable, and complacent with that tool? Okay. Do you think a surgeon will be happy doing that? Do you think a doctor will be happy doing that? Do you think an engineer will be happy doing that? Right? Even a plumber or an electrician will not be happy doing that. But we are the teachers who are creating all these professionals. Okay, and unfortunately, the teaching community seems to. I will not say. I will not make a sweeping statement. It is stuck. Right? Seems to be stuck with the same old methods and same old tools. Right? And what are the tools of the day? Okay, all these things and much more. I'm not going to talk about any of these things, right? Okay, in fact, only in a workshop type of a thing where you work with some hands-on sessions and under the technical teams monitoring and guidance, right? You will be in a position to do all these things, but still. This is something that is you all can learn through self-learning, right? Through trial and error, right? You can learn, right? So starting from FM radios for education, to very advanced ones, right? Okay. We have so many things here, and through a couple of things I have put in red color here, right? MOOCs, OER, right? Educational cloud, Web 2.0, mobile apps, AI, VR, AR tools, intelligent learning environments, right? Okay. I was talking a little about it earlier also, right? Massive open online courses the Swayam portal is going to give, right? That is going to be why I have put in red color is because we have to think of all these things. We have to look at all these things as red alerts in our profession. Right? This has to be taken as a red alert. If any of you are going to have about 10 years of service ahead, right, in your teaching career, you have to look at it as a red alert, because you have to get ready for that. You have to prepare yourself for an education system which is going to be with all these things, and they are going to stay with us, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you are prepared for that or not, these are all going to be there in the system, right? Okay. Now, whether you like it or not, it is a reality today. NEP is a reality today, and it is going to be implemented. And these are all the needs of the day, right? And they're the order of the day. Open educational resources, the open source resources for learning, okay, and cloud-based applications, education cloud, cloud computing. A lot of research is going on in computer science about cloud computing, and the application part of cloud computing research is benefiting the field of education also, right? And if you are a Gmail account holder, you already know about right, because every app that you are going to see, every app that you are going to use, right, in your Google Cloud, like Google Docs, Drive, Google Class, right, your Google G Meet, Google Meet, all these are basically, right, cloud apps provided by Google. And so it becomes a Google educational cloud. That's all. Let us take these things simply. Let us not look at them something like big things. Oh, cloud computing, that's all computer science people. Let us take a very, very common sense approach to these technologies as laymen, right? Let us look at them from the point of view of applications, using. As a teacher, right, we are just going to use these applications, these platforms and these gadgets, that's all. And second generation web technologies, which are now widespread, and there is already research about Web 3.0 and 4.0, and lots of mobile apps for learning, right? About 60 to 70% of the mobile apps that you have are free to download from your Google Play Store or something like that. And AI, VR, AR tools I was talking about earlier, and in the integration of this AI, VR, AR, machine learning, and Internet of Things is ultimately going to end up in intelligent learning environments, right? Where every learner will have an individual learning path, okay, individual learning path. And it's not like a one size model in the classroom. In the face-to-face mode, traditional education, what happens is one size fits all model. A teacher goes, there are 45 students. Even though the teacher knows that they are quite different from one another, there will be a single mode of teaching, single style of instruction, a single explanation, single whereas in an intelligent learning environment, every learner will have an individual learning path, right? And which will be dynamic, right? Which will keep changing, right? And if you learn faster, it will give you more challenging assignments, right? And it will take you to next levels. And if you are slow somewhere, it will pull you from one to the other end and say, come on, you seem to be having difficulties in understanding these things. Watch these videos and then come here. Like that, it will prompt you to change your learning styles, right? That way. Okay. Then maybe time is another big factor. I don't know whether I'll be in a position to spend too much of time on the new media and its impact on the education system. But I must tell you one simple thing. By new media, what I refer to here is the WWW. Okay, that is very simply the World Wide Web. I know most of you are thinking that, right? I will also say that you can look at it as whatever, whenever, wherever. Okay? You can look at that way also, because today with your mobile internet access, it is possible to get anything from anywhere, right? Anytime. That's why I say www can be right for whatever, whenever, wherever also. Is there anyone calling me from the organizing team? There is a number repeatedly coming. So anyway, right? I don't want to attend it right. Anyway, but I will say that the new media effect, the impact is on the four pillars of the education system, the four M's: materials, methods, media, and men. I'd say, okay. And all these four have been very heavily influenced by these technologies. and there is no gender bias in my language there. Men, I have not used it with any gender bias there. It is with capital M, right? So it goes to include women also. Materials, right? You just do a comparison. What are the learning materials your sons and daughters using today for their learning, if they are in 6th or 7th or 8th? And what were the learning materials you and I used when we were in 6th, 7th, or 8th? You can easily understand there is a lot of technology mediation. Okay, there is a lot of media integration. Methods of learning are going are undergoing revolutionary changes, right? Whether are we changing our teaching methods in tune with the learning methods? No. Okay. Till the March first week of 2019, that is the starting point of the pandemic, most of the classes were handled through chalk and talk model. Most of the classes were handled by chalk and talk mode. Okay, that's what All India Survey on Higher Education says. Right, 2019 report you go take and see. That's what the reality. Right. So compelled by the pandemic, we have all started using different apps for learning. That's a different thing. Okay. Then media. The problem in the use of media is that the media is new media are coming up every day, right? And new innovations and a lot of changes, right? You don't find video technology traveling separately and computer technology traveling separately, web technology traveling separately, mobile technology traveling separately. All these are now interacting with each other, and it becomes a melting pot of all these technologies. So when more and more technologies interact with one another and get integrated, new avenues are opening up, and we have to be having that media literacy and that tech savvy nature to update ourselves and upskill ourselves with the latest in the media, so that we will be making ourselves relevant to our students whose lives are media rich world. So the need for men and women to undergo changes is very important. So all that as a result of the new media and education system is what we have a digital age pedagogy. Is a digital age pedagogy, and if you understand these four, you will understand the concept better, right? It is the generation of learners we have. They are a digital generation of learners. Okay, maybe I will spend a little more time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes more, because the NEP 2020 is all about learner centeredness, right? The other three are, I will not say they are less important, but they are easy to understand. Again, one is digital learning environment. Right now, you see, it is a digital learning environment. See, some of you are sitting in Kadapa. I am sitting in the Trichy, Tamil Nadu. Some of you are sitting in other parts of the country, and all of us are connected, right? All of us are connected on a digital environment. Okay, so that is a type of a learning environment we have. And digital edutainment media, the entertainment media for education is edutainment media, because we are using a lot of entertainment media platforms for education. Television, video, graphics, animation, multimedia, all these are basically, right, entertainment media, and we are using them for education. And the generation of teachers that is expected, right, is a digital generation of teachers. And I would appeal to you. In fact, I'm not going deep into it for want of time. It's already 4:10, right? I don't want to put the organizers in trouble, right? I would like to invite your attention to this person, Mark Prensky. Kindly read this fellow, right? Mark Prensky, a very celebrated writer, a great author, right? If you want to make your educational practices learner centric, tuned to the digital learners of the 21st century environment, I would appeal that reading of this guy will really help you, because he talks so much about the gap that exists between digital natives and digital immigrants. Digital natives, that is our students. Today's students are born and they grow in a digital world, right? And they are the natives of a digital world. Whereas you and I, most of the teachers, right, we had taken birth in a pre-digital era, and we have moved into a digital era. So it becomes, we all have become digital immigrants. So the gap, right, what you call as a generation gap or a communication gap, whatever it is, it has to be bridged, right, effectively. You can explore this. And I would also direct your attention to reading of these people. If you want to get better ideas, Understanding Digital Kids by Jukes and Anita, very interesting e-books available online for free access. And another one, right, Born Digital, Understanding the First Generation of Digital Natives. Why you should understand first generation of digital natives? Because you might have taken birth in the 70s or 80s, right? But you are boys and girls who are born into the world after 1990, 94, 95. So you have to understand this digital generation of boys and girls, right? And look at the third book, Ian Gilbert's book, Why Do I Need a Teacher When I've Got Google? Right? Very interesting book, right? Is it something Mata Pita Guru Devam is becoming Mata Pita Google Devam these days? Right? That seems to be the message that the title carries, right? Why should there be a teacher when there is already Google? Okay, but the book is a very positive book which elaborately talks about why a teacher is needed in spite of Google. Even though Google is there, why we should be there? So the simple understanding and the simple balancing here is that, right? Let Google give our boys and girls what it can give them, and let you and I, the human teachers, give them what Google cannot give them. Right? That is a simple idea. A plus B whole square, what it is, right? And this particular temperature, this what is happening, and this salt and this salt, right? This color, what color? These are all bits and pieces of information which the Google can give. Let Google give. Let our students access that through Google, right? And let us go to our class and give our boys and girls what Google cannot give them. There are hundreds and hundreds of things which Google cannot give them, right? So that will make us better teachers. Because if the student comes to a class with the feeling that yes, my teacher will give me something which I cannot get on Google, then he feels rewarded in coming to the campus. He feels rewarded in coming to the class, and the boy or a girl will not leave the class without, even if you ask them to go, they will stay with you till you leave the campus, because they know that you can give them something, right, which they cannot find on Google. So that is the type of work that we have to do, right? There are hundreds and hundreds of life skills, right, which Google cannot give, because after all, Google can give only information. And getting our boys and girls, right, helping them to convert that into knowledge is our work, right? So it's not simply working. Information is not sufficient, right? Knowledge is important, right? Okay. So this is the type of learning environment that we have today, right? All institutions of the world are only a click away, right? Okay. And they can say that it is more institution learn in terms of physical distances, right? So that is a type of a borderless global education system prevailing here, and we have to get this global learning content and resources to our students by integrating different open education resources and technologies, right? Okay. So the edutainment media that we use are all these multimedia contents, right? Okay. So I think our organizers are getting little anxious about the time, I know, right? So I would just close in another 2 minutes, right? So the digital age teacher that you and I are, what are we supposed to be? We are not supposed to be dispensers of information. For dispensing information, there are so many things available. Google is there, Bing is there, Yahoo is there, right? Okay. And we are supposed to be orchestrators of learning, like a music composer orchestrating the learning. That the music, we have to orchestrate the learning process. We have to tell our boys and girls, right, what they should learn, how they should learn, what resources they should make use of, right? And we should help our students to convert information into knowledge, because any website can give only information, and helping them to convert that into knowledge, right, it involves some higher order thinking skills, hearts, right? And we have to train our boys and girls into these higher order thinking skills. This is something we already. Bloom's taxonomy, revised Bloom's taxonomy for lower order skills and higher order skills, very well. I have added something here, that colored box, that ICT activities starting from text message to collaborating online, right, for linked to all these thinking skills. And this is a range of Web 2.0 technologies and tools, right, related to this remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. Again, this being a 1 hour talk, right? Not with any hands-on session, demo session. We cannot go beyond this. We can only say that this is available, right? Okay. So I'm not going into this flipped model and other things. I'm just going to the last part, right? So being a digital age teacher is being a networked teacher. We have to network. We have to join hands with a lot of technologies and technologists, and we should change our relationship with our students, and we should become we should stop being solo singers of knowledge, and we should all become accompanists, like, you know, be singing in an orchestra, because people are there around you, and each one, right, plays the music, and you have to sing according to the music. Like that, today radio channels are there, television channels are there, YouTube channels are there for teaching and learning, for teaching and facilitating learning. If that is the case, and we should know how to realign our work, right, in tune with what is going on there, right? Okay. I'm just closing here. So all that is required is some mastery of some ICT skills and utilizing the ICT for creating a new learning culture, right? That is very, very important, right? You know, that is something that you and I as classroom teachers have to ensure. Vice chancellors, registrars, deans cannot do it. You and I as the teachers have to do that, creating a new learning culture of learning. That learning culture is going to be a culture which is deeply embedded in technologies. So technology enhanced learning or technology mediated learning is that culture we have to provide. And we have to ensure that our students integrate different technologies into their learning. And we can do that by integrating different technologies into our teaching, right? So I close always my ICT talks with this person, Alvin Toffler. Alvin Toffler is a very celebrated writer. You know, what he would say is that the 21st century professional success or failure is based on these three. That is, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Anyone who is incapable of these three, or who is not doing any of these three, is no better than an illiterate. That's what Alvin Toffler says. So all of us have to learn something new. We have to keep on learning. This is an era of lifelong learning, right? And we have to keep learning something new every day, right? Every week, every semester. And we have to keep on unlearning certain old things, okay? And we have to keep relearning something in a revised context, okay? So that is very, very important. Without these three, right, we may not be making ourselves relevant teachers for the 21st century environment, right? Okay. And all that I have to finally say before I say thank you is simple, that let us do today's jobs with today's tools. Okay, there is a proverb in American business that is, if you do today's jobs with yesterday's tools, you may be out of business tomorrow, right? So today's tools are blogs, podcasts, wikis, right? Learning management systems, simulation platforms, and other things, right? So let us do today's jobs with today's tools, so that we will make ourselves relevant teachers to the revised context, where you have a new generation of learners learning in a new learning environment, learning new subjects, gaining newer knowledges, and, you know, getting themselves prepared for a new life altogether in the next decades, right? So thank you very much, my dear friends. It was a real pleasure, though it was a time was a constraint, because I'm used to giving 3-hour sessions normally, right? And I should sincerely thank Dr. Sarita and Dr. Sunita and other organizing team members for giving me an opportunity. And I must sincerely thank Dr. Amadavali madam for for referring me to this university. Right? So thank you very much. And those of you who would like to have any interactions in this particular area with regard to this technology integration, you're most welcome to be in touch with me. My mail ID is there, and my WhatsApp number is there. You can just feel free. Right? Of course, I don't know how much of time we can have for interaction, but I'm available. Right? I'm free up to 5 o'clock today. So thank you very much. Right? So it's over to Dr. Sarita or whoever is there in the organizing desk. Right? Please, it's over. Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, sir.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would like to focus on what are the main aspects covered by because many participants joined a little late because of technical problems. In his speech, he focused on how new policy is going to meet the needs of students. And he emphasized on techno-pedagogy and later how 21st century transferred as information age, knowledge age, and digital age. And he emphasized on how teachers should prepare themselves to be revolutionary changes take place in the 21st century. And he emphasized on the report of Project Tomorrow 2011 document, which emphasized on engaged, enabled, engaged, and empowered. And he quoted the words by Samuel J. Maser. He also emphasized on drastic digital changes which takes place over traditional chalk and talk system, from closed learning system to open resource system. Also focused on new media impact with materials, methods, media, and men. Finally, how technology is useful for overall development to update ourselves in this new era. And finally, he emphasized on the importance of digital age pedagogy. That means we have to update ourselves with the changes which are taking place in the education system, and unless if we cannot update ourselves, we are no more to be effective teacher in the coming era. So all academicians are we have to focus on new learning systems. And finally, he emphasized the important words many educational generally quoted the aspect this learn, unlearn, and relearn. So that is the main agenda, not only for a student, it is also for teacher also. So with these words, he concluded his session. I am very thankful, sir, your excellent speech. And there are few questions raised by the participants, sir. So if you are
Yeah.
ready, shall I?
Yeah,
focus
we
on
can.
it, sir?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, sir. Sir, one of the participant raised the question, NEP allows students to join in a class based on their age without basic knowledge, which makes teachers geopard. How to overcome this problem as a teacher?
Yeah, you see, though this question is not directly linked with my focus, I was also pondering over this particular point. But again, it has come with a statement somewhere. It says that for evaluating the entry behavior, there will be a kind of mechanism evolve, in the sense that you cannot have somebody just because he or she is 25 years old, right? Just put him or her in a UG class and start BSc chemistry. It will not happen, right? So some kind of an entry behavior check, and what they are focusing on two things. One is an induction program for such people, and another one for bridge courses. They are going to provide such online courses, right? So before joining the course, whether it is online or offline, they are going to be made to undergo this whole learning process before they come into this. And many of the MOOCs also do this. Even massive open online courses say that, right, when you join, they give some kind of pre-course exercises, and they check whether you are fit to take the course. And if you are not showing enough skills and expertise fit for taking the course, what they do is that they provide a link for 1 week or so. They say that before taking this course, it is better you take this course for 1 week, right? 5 days or 6 days, okay? And you get yourself equipped with this knowledge, and then come, we will start the session. Like that, a kind of a preparedness, right? Preparing them for that. Okay, it happens.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
So the next question raised by the participant, what are the consequences of NEP 2020?
Consequences. I will not say consequence is a good word.
After the implementation
You,
only we can.
yeah. What will be the
It's
effect
a
or
hypothetical question.
the
It's a
outcome of it, right? Okay.
It's
Because
very
the very word,
easy to raise this kind of questions.
yeah. Because moreover, it is for 3 decades. They say this policy is going to bring in changes for 3 decades, right? So we cannot predict
Within 3 hours, we can
it's going to
accept.
happen. But what we can say is that there are going to be radical changes in the education system, which are going to be aligned to the international trends. That we can say. No, because in a globalized environment, we cannot stay away from the mainstream of international trends. So we are going to have models of education which are tuned to the international trends, right? Okay. So even for that matter, this diploma, advanced diploma, certificate, lateral exit, lateral entry, these are all actually from the Western world we have borrowed, right? Okay. So that is the type of, even 5-year integrated programs, 6-year integrated programs, they're all actually from the countries abroad. Right. Okay. So MS by research, right? Earlier days, MS was only there in United States of America. Okay. But now, IITs, IIMs, Anna University, they have MS programs, right? Okay. So like that, we are taking our education system in tune with the international trends. That is the prediction here.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Another
Yeah.
question is how the private institutions are going to raise the funds based on NEP 2020.
Yeah, it is going to be very simple. It is going to be competitive environment. So every institution has to strive hard to make money through consultation, through extension services. Not only private universities, sir, including government institutions are going to be put in this model. Right?
Yes.
Universities have to generate at least 30 to 40% of their expenditure through community engagement. Right? So you do some research activities which will benefit the industries in your area. Right? So if you are in an area, if you are in a coastal town, right, you do some research in fisheries, you do some research in particular if you are an industrial town, you do some research related to industrial chemistry or industrial things, so that the industries will buy your technology and will pay money to the university. Okay. So that is the way. It is not going to be a big difference between private institutions and government institutions in this area. It is going to be almost a kind of a level playing ground. And already that the government is into withdrawing many of the things that from the public fund, right, to these institutions, right?
Okay, sir.
It is,
Sir-
yeah.
sir,
For instance, you see one small example. For instance, you see now this pandemic, we have all been listening to the AstraZeneca Covaxin, right? We all know that it has been developed in a research laboratories of Oxford University, right? So Oxford University developed that model, and the technology was transferred to AstraZeneca. How many millions of dollars AstraZeneca has paid to Oxford University? I think almost 6 months or 8 months, Oxford University can function with the money that only AstraZeneca has paid, right? So that is the type of business model that is going to be implemented.
Sir, thank you, sir. And finally, I have one question, sir.
Please, madam.
Because we are working in the university level, we are much hearing about the MOOC courses and all these things, sir. But
Yeah.
I think we are not that much successful in doing the courses. So kindly just to throw some light on MOOC courses and
Yes.
what are the suitable courses for faculty or academicians, and what are the ways to complete the MOOC courses successfully, sir?
No, can you make that distinction, madam? Are you talking about students taking the MOOCs or teachers creating the MOOCs?
Teachers taking the MOOCs, sir.
Teachers taking or teachers offering MOOCs?
No, teachers. As a teacher, if I want to update myself by participating in the MOOCs,
yeah. In that context, the SWAYAM portal only has one option, that is ARPIT courses. That is annual refresher program courses, right? Otherwise, we have to depend on international MOOC portals like Coursera, edX, and other things. But now, if you are interested in offering a course, right, in your subject, in your discipline, now they have UGC has come with that call. They have put up a call for expression of interest. You can submit a proposal and you can be a course provider on SWAYAM portal, which any student from any part of the country can take and transfer the credits. It is possible. Right? For teacher professional development, we have only limited courses. Right.
Okay, sir. With this, we are going to end the interaction course. Now, I request Dr. Sarita to present a vote of thanks for the day one webinar, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Once again, a very good evening to one and all. I am very privileged to propose vote of thanks on this first day of a 5-day national workshop on National Education Policy 2020, a roadmap for future of India, organizing by Yoga Vimana University, Kadapa. On behalf of organizing committee of this workshop, I profusely thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam in absentia, Professor M. Surakalavati Madam Garu, and encouraging us to organize this workshop within a short period. But she could not attend the program because of her unexpected busy schedule. Thank you, ma'am. Definitely she will join tomorrow's session. Thank you, ma'am. I thank sincerely the distinguished Registrar Professor D. Vijayarama Prasad sir for his cordial presence and inspiring speech, which enlightened the participants and given permission to arrange the workshop and providing all the facilities from the IT and network team. Thank you, sir. I owe my sincere appreciation to thank respected Principal of YVU College, Professor K. Krishna Reddy, sir, for his gracious presence and thoughtful and provoking presidential remarks throughout the program. Thank you, sir. I am very grateful to our beloved Vice Principal of YVU College, Professor S. Raghunath Reddy, sir, for his gracious presence and sharing his valuable message to the audience. Thank you, sir. I am very much conveyed my deep sense of gratitude and appreciation on this occasion to the distinguished speaker of this today's workshop, Professor S. Senthilnathan, sir, Director, UGC HRDC and Department of Educational Technology, Bharatidasan University, Tamil Nadu, in spite of his busy schedule and accepting our request with our phone call only, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Our special thanks to our departmental heads and coordinators of Professor T. Vasanthi Madam, Head of the Department of Applied Mathematics, Dr. S.V. Subba Reddy Sir, Coordinator of Department of Business Management and PRO of YVU, Dr. K. Lajer Sir, Department of Psychology, for their kind consent in organizing this workshop. Thank you all. I have no words to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude to all the esteemed fraternity and participants for attending the workshop and sharing workshop flyer throughout the nation from their WhatsApp groups. Thanks is not enough, but there is no substitution for this. Hence, we are all thankful to all the participants. Once again, thank you all. I express my sincere gratitude of IT and network team of Professor Nazir Ahmed sir, Rakib, and my special thanks to Anil Kumar for his entire efforts to make the program in time and successful. Thank you all. I thank sincerely to the print and electronic media, Dr. S.V. Subba Reddy sir, PRO of YVU University, Dr. Suresh, Mr. Iranna and Mr. Nagaraju and other journalists in all time support and share our activities up to date to improve our university name and fame throughout the India and other nations. Thank you very much to all. Last but not least, I thank all the supporting teaching and non-teaching staff for their efforts in making the program successful. Thank you all. I thank each and everyone who are supported and encourages us to conduct the program. And excuse me if I missed anyone in expressing my gratitude. Once again, I thank each and everyone. Thank you all. And I am very grateful to given this opportunity. Once again, I thank you all. And I hope we will meet tomorrow by 2:30 p.m. sharp with a eminent speaker by Professor Vishwanathan sir. Vishwanathan sir from Mysore. Thank you all. Definitely we will meet tomorrow by sharp 2:30 p.m. Thank you all. I request all the participants to fill the feedback link. It is attendance for every day. All the participants are requested to attend for 5 days program only. We will get certificates. Okay. Thank you all.